Public Affairs very much thanks Residco, our sole corporate underwriter, for helping to make the production of this show possible.
So that's your focus. Taxes, keep them low.
Yeah.
Crime, get that low.
Yep.
Education, get that better.
And back our police officer.
And back the police officers.
Mm-hmm.
Would you say you should take the handcuffs off the police, put them on the criminals? Is that your slogan?
Yes.
That's not just a slogan. You believe in that, right?
I believe in it.
You think that would reduce crime?
Yeah, because right now the police are too afraid to chase somebody, and they get away, and they encourage more people. They're too afraid to do their job with fear of they're going to be locked up themselves. Willie
Wilson, you come back to public affairs. Try to do this. Willie, what is the core issue in this campaign as you see it?
Crime, number one. Number two, taxes.
That's it. Crime and number two, taxes.
Yeah, without that, don't worry about nothing else. It's all downhill.
What's your plan to cut crime? It's skyrocketing. It's up. The mayor keeps saying it's down. Homicides are down, but 2021 to 22 up, a crime in general. 2019, when the mayor came into 2022, way up. So what can you do as mayor of the city of Chicago to dramatically cut crime? And give it to me short.
Yeah. Well, 4 superintendent of police versus 1, so they can get closer to the community by dividing their city into 4 segments, so that they can have their monthly meeting, the CAP meeting, with the police officer, with the superintendent, then also the politician, and also the community. That way we can get closer together, integrate the cars, so that you had 3 or 4 policemen in the car. Take, for instance, Chinatown. You need, some Chinese in there, Asian American, versus white, black, so that way that particular person from China know how to speak the language and understand it. So it should be that way. Then you want to take the handcuffs off the police officer, put them on the people who's actually committing the crime, and arrest them so that they won't be getting away, out there and doing harm or killing some other people. We'll get all that stopped. We'll add more police officers.
About how many police are we down? People say it's usually 13,000, 14,000. How many more do you have to?
About 2,000 more.
2,000 more, okay.
Yeah.
But it's not just more police. You need more beat patrol police, right? In the community, not sitting back in some administrative center, right?
That's correct. Take the people out administrative, put them in the field, bring some of the retired police back that work in part-time jobs, and put them in an administrative situation. Look, they work in part-time job, they retire, help us out until we get the crime stuff under control. Pay the police.
What's the morale like in the police department? You ever talk to the cops? What do they think?
Oh yeah, it's very low. I mean, why the crime is so high? Well, at least one of the why the crime is so high right now. Police too afraid that if they arrest somebody and run after them, that they'll get arrested themselves and lose their pension, their families and things of that nature. We have to make sure that we got their back.
Who decided that? Somebody said, hey, you can't chase unless the superintendent says okay. And then your supervisor says okay. The supervisor's afraid to say okay. He could get in trouble. She could get in trouble. So you can't chase them in a car. You can't chase them by foot. Who set that? Who decided that?
Well, I don't know who decided, but I know it's there. I had a 20-year-old son that got killed, due to violence. It's not using common sense. It was under this administration now that made those decisions, and they can change it if they want to.
Can you do that? If you come in as mayor, do you have to go to the city council, or could you just change that lickety-split and say, okay, you folks can now start chasing people, chasing them in a car, chasing them by foot? Could you do that, Willie, if you were mayor?
I believe we can do an executive order to take and do that. And even if it was not that, I think the community will give me support behind that, and we'll get done what needs to be done by working with city council, whoever you have to. Those things we have to get in and take a look at, but I do believe the executive order can change that.
So do you think are we coddling criminals? Are we treating criminals like victims, or are we treating criminals like criminals?
Well, we have to make sure, starting day one, I get in office, that we'll make sure that you'll be punished for it and caught. Right now, the administration right now treating them as such, that like crime don't even exist. We'll make crime illegal when it starts to happen and change those situations, because the fact of it is that nobody get caught. Nobody get caught.
The arrest rate's what, 5% less?
Yeah. I don't even know is it that much.
Yeah, so people are just literally getting away with murder, right?
Well, yeah, it's up for 6 months, a year. Still haven't caught nobody. But this mayor you got right now just sit there and complain. People are scared.
Well, you want to say you care about everybody, right?
Everyone.
Everybody. So anybody who gets killed, anybody who gets murdered, anybody who's a victim, doesn't matter whether they're white, whether they're black, Asian. What matters is they're a victim of a murder, right?
Crime has no color. Period. We come in office, we'll make crime illegal again. It has no color, whether you're white, black, Latina, Asian, American, or what have you. We have to look at it that way. We have to bring all people together. We have to take everything serious. Again, crime has no color.
One thing I don't get, so blacks make up nearly 80% of the homicide victims in Chicago. 80%. So if you coddle criminals, if you in a sense incentivize committing crimes, including murders, aren't you hurting everybody, including the blacks or the African Americans on the south side, on the west side, all over Chicago? But 4 out of every 5 victims are black. I never hear, I don't know, even the other candidates. What candidates? 7 of these folks, of the 9, are like you. They're black. Mm-hmm. You talk about this. Anybody else ever talk about those victims and stopping the murders and stopping making blacks the victims of homicide?
Yeah. I talk about it all the time. I don't think this is not a color issue, period. Yeah. This is about economic investment into those communities out there. It's about caring about people, regardless of what color you happen to be. But we got to get the bottom root of things by investing into those particular areas, but holding the people accountable that commit these crimes. I'm tired of it. We're sick of it. We're going to stop it. We're going to be tough on crime and make it illegal once I come into office. That's the fact that we're going to take to deal with it. It's crazy.
So you said taxes. We'll come back to that in a second. You said number 1 was crime.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about that. We'll come back to this during the show. But you didn't mention education. Some people would say that's number 2 at CPS. What do you think? Is the failure to teach kids to read, as Wirepoints puts it, at grade level? Wirepoint says a vast majority of Chicago's minority students cannot read or do math at grade level. They say only 1 out of every 10 blacks, they put it 11% of black students at CPS can read at grade level. Only 17% of Hispanics can read at grade level. Only 6% of black students can do math at grade level. Only 12% of Hispanics can do math at grade level, and 90%, I think, of CPS are either black or Hispanic. So really, we could say black, Hispanic. Basically, kids at CPS are not learning to read at grade level. How much of an issue is that to you?
It's a big issue, but again, I think it's crime and taxes. Okay, if you don't get rid of crime, people gonna not go to school. Parents gonna move out of the city, so you're not gonna have enough people to put into the school. You don't get rid of tax or lower the taxes, people gonna go shopping elsewhere. They're gonna move out the city also. So everything going downhill, But look, education is very important. But you gotta get the first thing first, And so I agree with you. People don't know their ABCs. Some of these kids that finish school,
You, I understand, have a 7th grade education. You chose, or you had to drop out 7th grade. Where was that? Was that
Gilbert, Louisiana?
Louisiana.
Mm-hmm.
What happened? Did you have to drop out? You chose to? What happened?
We
Way
was-
back when? It was a few years ago.
Well, look, we was 13 when we dropped out. We from the Jim Crow days down south. We ran away from home at age 13 years of age. I went back to school. It was a must. We get to school 2 months out of a year. You know, we didn't want to stay down there and end up picking cotton, chopping cotton, having babies, and couldn't afford them. And so we left, ran away from home and get my parents from back out of there to up here. And we did what necessary. We had no future down there.
You came here to Chicago.
Yes.
And what was your first job?
Actually, my first job was working at Gold Blast Tire Center. Gold Blast, the piano factory, and then Gold Blast. And then we got a job at McDonald's.
And how much were you making?
$2 an hour at McDonald's.
Okay, but you worked your way up, right? Mm-hmm. People say, I'm not saying, they say you are a self-made millionaire. I don't know, maybe close to a billionaire. What do you want to say, right?
Well,
You got some dough. You're comfortable.
Well, I put it that way. I make a good living.
Yeah.
You know, that's all I can say because.
But how'd you do it? Could anybody do what you did now? I mean, that was years ago with a seventh grade education. What was your key? How were you able to overcome those educational deficiencies and become what? A millionaire? Multi-millionaire?
Look, I desire to get ahead, desire to get my parents from down south to here. A lot of faith, you know. And so there's a lot of faith in Christ, the religion that we serve, you know. From Christ, give me faith to do whatever we want to take and do. And you put your heart to it and believe it and have faith, then you're confident. You know,
Faith was important to you.
It's still today.
Still is. Mm-hmm. Do you think it's important to low-income kids, Black, Hispanic, Asian, the kids at CPS, you know, large numbers, maybe 80% more, are low-income parents? Is faith an important part of their household?
I would recommend it.
You think it would help?
I know it would help. You know, some people don't have faith and don't want faith. You know, don't believe in Christ. But you know, that's something that they got to work out between them and Christ. Hopefully they can find him. The church door is always open. I think that it gives you hope when there is no hope.
Is there anything you can do? There's a separation of church and state here in America. The Constitution says that, essentially. But it says neutrality. It doesn't say the government has to be hostile to religion, just neutral. You know, people have a right to, the Constitution says, you know this, they can exercise their right to choose the religion of their choice. The government can't establish a religion. But you as mayor, if you were mayor, could you do anything that the Constitution would permit to allow people to choose to promote faith, whether it's parents, whether it's kids? Could you do anything?
I mean, my situation is like this, the way I think.
Yeah.
You got a freedom of choice.
Right.
But I do think there should be a minute of silence for those who may want to worship. You know, I do believe in those things, but I'm here to serve the people, you know. And if the people don't want it, then they don't want it. But my recommendation is to have it. People that don't have faith, I always say this, you know, on every dollar bill that we carry, it's in God we trust. If they don't believe in God, I say give me their money, because they carry around God in their wallet, in their front pocket. All right? If they don't believe in him, then just give me their money.
Okay.
And I'll give it away to somebody else.
You hear about school choice. What does school choice mean to you?
Well, you know, having been a freedom to go to where you want to go. You know, I have no problem with that. I think that school choice is a free country. The way things going at CBS, our kids don't know how to read and write, you know, and crime is so high, then if anybody can afford to go private school someplace else to protect their loved one, I say do it.
Would you be in favor, you'd have to work with the legislature on this, the Illinois legislature, but, you know, we're spending a lot in CPS. It's gone up 40% spending per kid in the last 4 years, from about $20,000 per kid per year per kid per year. That's at CPS. WirePoint says to 28,000, 29,000. Let's say call it 28,000. $28,000 per kid per year. That's everything they get. The federal aid, the state aid, the city. Would you favor, if you could accomplish it, saying to the parents, here's $28,000. You go to the school of your choice. If you're happy at CPS, it stays there. If not, you take that purchasing power and you go to a charter school, transfer, that's a public school. You go to a parochial school. You can set it up so it's perfectly constitutional to give that money, I think, constitutionally permitted, to a parochial school. There the people can get some faith and regular education. Or just a regular private school. All of those choices, a person now doesn't have to be rich. Just give the family the $29,000 we're spending per kid per year, and they don't get the cash to spend on anything they want. It's a voucher. They have to put it towards education. Yes or no? Would you do that? Would you encourage that if you were the mayor of the city of Chicago?
Well, I can't give a yes and no answer on that one there because the people's involved. Like, okay, you have a kind of like a no-win situation at the moment because people believe this way, people believe another way. You have to go to the people because the people are the one you're serving, right? You have to get their input. Oftentimes, I wouldn't inject my feeling into this here because it's not for me to do that. It's for me to serve the people. And serve means to me, serving the people. You have a right of freedom to do as you see fit, which is personal or your household or any situation you like to do. For me to make a statement yes or no, it wouldn't be fair to the citizen that some may say okay, some may say no. It's just like, anything else.
But, WirePoints has again put together this list that there are 30 CPS schools, 30 where there's not one student in the school reading at grade level. Not one. Do you think you would have a bully pulpit as mayor? I understand you want input, but if you studied this, if you talk to people and they seem to want this choice, large majorities, would you use your bully pulpit to bring it about?
I'll do whatever the people want me to do. All right. If they say go this way and that way after we done consult with it, the majority is like, and Congress 51% carry. I don't look. My comment and influence should not be put in that period. My thinking should stay to myself, but serve the people. All right, and I know where you're coming from. Where
am I coming from?
Well, you're trying to tell me to make a choice to influence. Someone maybe over here that don't quite agree with it. But make that decision to try to influence those people who may not believe their kids should be in a certain school, all right? And the other one says, yeah, but who am I going to say and judge that? It's for the people that are home.
You have information to give. I'm not really saying go argue with people who don't believe it. Give them information.
All right, yeah.
And say, if we did this, right now, if you're not happy with your school, well, you can move to the suburbs. You might be able to move somewhere else, but it's not much better anywhere else in CPS. So you could give that information if they still don't want the voucher. Nobody's forcing them to take the voucher.
Okay. Yeah.
But you're going to have a lot of power, not to change people's minds, but to give them choices, right? You said it was about choice, right?
About choices, right.
Choices.
It's about choices. Look, all information should be open and public for people to make those decisions, pro or con. I ain't got no problem with that at all. I'm pro-choice, all right?
In general, not just on the abortion issue, people think that means you're not pro-abortion, or are you pro-choice? Well, let's take a brief digression because this has become a big issue, the abortion issue.
Yeah.
I never really thought the mayor of Chicago, as you said, the two big issues to you were crime and taxes, education. But Lori Lightfoot says, we'd like to have Lori on, but I think she says abortion is issue. She's gone after Paul Vallis. She's seen what they have ads, Lightfoot and Garcia, based on an interview I did with Paul Dallas 13 years ago. I think they've taken some things out of context, but they made abortion an issue. Willie Wilson, is abortion a big issue to you in the Chicago mayoral race?
No, me, I'm pro-choice.
Pro-choice, which means what to you?
Meaning that a person has a right in their own home to decide what they want to do with their body or their two husband and wife. That's their decision.
That's their decision.
Yeah, and also I believe there's a woman's decision to do what she thinks is right for her body if she doesn't have a husband. I was brought up in slavery. All my life, Jeff, people told me what to do. And they said, when we was down south, we was picking cotton, chopping cotton. The white man over here felt that it was okay for them to go into the black man's house and have baby with their spouses, all right? And while they out farming their work and stuff like that. Because they figured that a black female, all they was good for was having babies and then put them in the field to farm and sell their product free of charge. That was what they believed, all right? So when they believed that, although I believe something different, all right?
Right.
But in their mind, they actually believed that.
Okay.
And it kept a long time. And so they would make, I worked 13 years without a paycheck. Without getting paid one penny, 13 years.
You went 13 years
Without a paycheck.
You mean when you came here?
Yeah, well, down south.
And down south, you were working from the time you were a little kid, is what
Right,
you're saying.
Yeah,
Right.
'cause
People
mama-
don't realize that.
Right.
A different day in this country at that time.
Well, yes, but like when I was born, Mama had to go back in the field 2 hours later and pick cotton and put me on the back of the cotton sack.
They didn't have no maternity leave.
They didn't have no doctor, nothing now.
Nothing.
There was no doctor for the African American female.
All right.
The women would go
Okay.
out and have to live with their baby. Now they thought they was right.
But let's talk culture more generally as it may relate to some of the issues you've talked about. Crime, education. In Chicago, 4 out of 5 Chicago black births are to single moms, unwed moms. Is that an issue? For the mayor, again, could you or would you use your bully pulpit to try to change that culture so that maybe more moms, when they do give birth, they're married, there's a man in the house, there's a family to support and help those kids grow up? Is that something, as a mayor, you think you might talk about, at least in the bully pulpit?
Well, I think you can talk about it, but understand this right here too is that this is my second marriage. My first marriage, I wanted to work very, very hard, all right, but it didn't turn out that way, you know. But the same token is that it didn't turn out that way. Like 40 or 50% of American people doesn't turn out the way you expect it to turn out.
Interrupt, just throw in one other bit of datum, okay? This again comes from Wire Points. Incomes of married black couples with children are almost twice as high, 170% higher than those of single black mothers. So if you're a married black couple, you almost have twice the income on average than a single mom if you're black. Is that something the leaders in the African American culture should be talking about? And if you're mayor, you'd be one of those leaders. Is that something that you might, again, provide that information so that people making decisions as to whether they want to have a pregnancy or not take that into account, what kind of incomes they're going to have on average to support their kids?
I don't know whether that's an income situation, whether you're going to stay together with someone to have kids or not. But
maybe not choose to have a kid or have a risk or opportunity, however you want to put it, if you know that if you're married and then you have a kid, on average, your income's going to be higher, significantly so.
Come more responsibility.
So there are a lot of kids who may not know that at 16 or 17.
Yeah, I don't. If you got two parents married, they can't get along, and the kids.
No, I added that. It's a goal. It's aspirational. And I'm not saying people who don't get along should stay married. As the mayor of Chicago, what could you do about taxes, and what would you try to do?
Well, first of all, I try to not raise them and lower those taxes, because I think lowering the taxes keep people here in their homes, keep people here in the city of Chicago, keep people shopping here in Chicago from going to Indiana or moving out of town. I can't think lower taxes.
Which taxes? Sales tax, income tax, property tax?
Limit all of it.
Would you would eliminate the property tax completely?
Well, we can't say eliminate completely, but
You would reduce it if you
we would
could?
try to produce it. But how you reduce it, is bring more, lower the taxes to keep people here shopping in the city versus going out in the suburban, buying gas, buying eggs, and stuff like that. So you're going down here.
Keep the taxes lower here. They don't go to Indiana, especially in those border towns.
Yeah.
And in Chicago, it's not too far. You can go to another state where the taxes might be lower, right?
I
You
go
know
there.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know when the last time I bought gasoline in Chicago.
Is that right? Okay.
Right, I buy gasoline in the suburban or someplace else. It been 25 or 30 years because the tax is too high.
Right.
But I can afford it. But I really take that money and give it to somebody on the street that is hungry.
But on the property tax, maybe 60% or more of that tax comes from education. So if you have high education spending, you're going to have higher property taxes, right?
Well, yeah. But see, you're running people out of the city because they can't afford to pay.
No, right, yeah.
Right, and you're running business out of the city because they can't afford to be here. You stopping new business from coming in because not right.
So that's your focus. Anything you can do to cut property taxes, to cut sales taxes,
Yes.
to cut that's the main tax, property tax and the sales tax, right? Because we don't have an income tax yet. Some of your candidates' opponents want to have a city income tax. Would you have a city income tax?
No.
Okay,
No.
you wouldn't do that.
I think you got to lower
Promise
taxes.
that. You promise.
Yes.
Okay. We're running out of time. What do you think as people go to the polls on February 28th? They've got 9 candidates, including the incumbent, Mayor Lightfoot. What should they know about Willie Wilson when they make that choice as to whom they should vote?
I think
For whom they should vote, excuse me.
I think they're gonna vote for me. I'm not looking to get a paycheck.
Why? Why should they vote for you?
I'm a businessman. I understand it. I understand crime. I lost a son. I'm a business person who understands business and numbers. I'm a relationship person. We are always out in the community. We give back. Last year, we given probably over $60 million to the community.
That's as an individual, right?
As an individual.
As a mayor, what can you promise people?
Well, at mayor, I can promise their tax dollars going to go economic, equal opportunity and quality for all citizens, and make sure those dollars reach those particular areas, and to help economic empowerment there so family can live a better life.
So that's your focus. Taxes, keep them low.
Yeah.
Crime, get that low.
Yep.
Education, get that better.
And back our police officer.
And back the police officers. Would you say you should take the handcuffs off the police, put them on the criminals? Is that your
Yes.
slogan?
Yes.
That's not just a slogan. You believe in that, right?
I believe in it.
You think that would reduce crime?
Yeah, because right now the police are too afraid to chase somebody, and they get away, and they encourage more people. They're too afraid to do their job with fear of they're going to get locked up themselves.
Willie Wilson, you come back to public
We'll be
affairs. Try to
glad
do.
to.
If there's a runoff, if you're there, if you're one of the top 2 vote getters on February 28th, there's a runoff, folks, on April 4th. You'll be coming right back here, right?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Maybe 2 or 3 times, right?
I don't know about that. Depends on my schedule, but I will come back, though. You know.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you, Willie Wilson, Chicago Mayoral Candidate. Thank you for watching Public Affairs. You come back next week and every week to Public Affairs.